I just hope my phone does not die. Okay, so the interview is at 6 o'clock. Hi, Jeremy. The interview is at 6 o'clock, so it is 5:59. So we are waiting for Sharon to join us. Sharon Monnier is an award-winning editor, writer, and best-selling author. So, hi!
How are you?
Hi, Sharon. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, for everyone, we're about to get into it. To all of my audience out there, I would like to introduce you guys to the Sharon Monnier. She is a best-selling writer, editor, and author. So for all of my readers out there, you guys are going to get to know Sharon, and hopefully you guys are able to capture some gems. If you are interested in the writing aspect or even thinking about writing a book, because I know that everyone has a story. And for me as a journalist, I am extremely excited to be here with you because a part of journalism is writing. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First of all, how are you doing today, Sharon?
I am great. I am great. It's bad air quality. I'm actually back at home in Philadelphia, and the air here sucks. So make sure you pray for all of us up north with them Canada fires. It's a mess.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I'm great.
Okay, lots of water. Stay inside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We need you to keep producing. So
Yes, I'm in hiding.
okay, well, that's great. As long as you're safe, we're happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go ahead and get into, so how did you even begin your career as a writer to get to that level where you became a best-selling author and writer and editor?
Okay. So my writing career started, I'll say, in my childhood. I was that child who talked a lot in class and got in trouble and had to get censored, so it was like keep getting on punishment, or you go to your notebook. So for me, I started diving into my notebooks. This way it kept me out of trouble. And then I jumped into poetry. My third grade teacher introduced me to poetry. And that was a fun, easy way for me to dive in with expressing my feelings, how I, thoughts or ideas or things that I wanted to discuss, but really didn't feel comfortable because I didn't know if that was punishment driven. So I would put all the thoughts in my little handy dandy composition book, plus my book couldn't talk back to me. And that was always a plus for me. I could talk without judgment. And then from stanzas went sentences. I too was a journalist. I was a staff writer for CNN, as well as the Philadelphia Association of Paralegals. So after I went from poetry, I jumped into journalism, then jumped into books, jumped into plays. So my pen kind of went from that little girl getting in trouble for talking so much to now a full-fledged career.
Right. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Like, isn't it crazy how, like, you do one thing and you never know that this one thing that was just maybe a thought or it may have crossed your mind, it actually becomes an entire career or like a huge thing.
Absolutely. Wow. Because for me, my writing was just words of expression. Mm-hmm. That's all it was. It wasn't supposed to be monetized. It was not supposed to be a business. It was my comfort zone. Like some people like to go to the beach or whatever, people peace is. Writing was my peace. But it kind of evolved. It was, oh my God, you're such a great writer. Can you write this? Or, oh my God, we got to hire you. Can you write this? So it just evolved as I got introduced to other tables, networks, or opportunities.
Okay, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So what do you say was, after, you started and you're like, okay, well, now I'm in journalism, or now I'm going to start writing, or now I'm doing poetry. What was the inspiration for you to start your book?
Life.
For you to write your book?
Life.
Life.
Like just life. When I decided to take my writing to a more business where I was getting paid or wanted to jump into authorship or ghostwriting, it literally I went through a divorce.
Mm.
Life happened. So I ain't gotta explain what can happen in
Okay.
divorce. That single mom broke, trying to make ends meet, trying to pay without being homeless. So my son, Chris, was like, Mommy, write about it. And
Mm.
for me, that was my trigger because it was like I was sitting here with nothing. I was completely at bottom.
Wow.
And he was like, Mommy, write about it. And I was like, I don't have anything to write. He like, write about everything that we're going through. And that
Wow.
became my first book and my first #1 bestseller, My Side of the Story. And from that book, I converted it into a play because back then Tyler Perry and
Okay.
Garrett, all of
Yeah.
them were starting. And I was like, you know what, if Tyler can tell his story and dress up like Medea, I'm sure I could take these sentences and
Right.
create dialogue.
And put it
Yeah.
right.
So I converted that book into Living Your Life. That play, and that play went from Philadelphia. They got accepted into the DC Theater Festival, won that, and it literally every book became a play, and a book became a play, and I started writing for other people, started writing plays for other people, turned one of my books into a short film. So it literally was hitting rock bottom. My son saying write about it to where it evolved into into money.
Yeah.
And the
Wow.
career started. And it's funny because my writing journey as an author started in the recession of 2008. So I always like to give that caveat because a lot of people feel during a recession or financial trouble, it's like, what am I going to do? It's like search within, find that inner, because a lot of times that's when your gift will make room for you.
Wow. And do you know how crazy it is, like as humans, for us to experience some of the most traumatic stuff, but then to literally write it on paper,
Yes.
and then not even knowing that your pain has opened doors for you, and it
Absolutely.
was necessary for you to step out of for you to step out of your comfort zone, for you to tell your story. Because a lot
Yeah.
of people don't have the confidence, or as people sometimes are way too prideful to even to share our stories because we're afraid to be judged. But just like you, like Sharon, you literally used your pain and the things and the trials that you were going through, and your son was an inspiration for you to
Yep.
go ahead and do that, and you're still going. Like, I mean, bestseller, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and I always tell people, if you look at a lot of your artists, I always think of Mary J. Blige
Love her.
because Mary's made a career out of her pain.
Right.
And I remember when Mary came out with her one happy album, Just Fine album, and Mary was excited and happy and in love. We were like, that's not.
Mm-hmm.
Mary got to go through something. We need the pain again.
Right.
Because the pain, it's like, y'all got to get a divorce because we need the angry Mary. We need the heartbroken Mary. Because, and especially with women, we speak a little bit more passionately. Mm-hmm. We can relate on that pain because a lot of us are not, depending on when we meet, we all may not be dealing in happiness, but we can all relate on that pain.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what drove from that one book. And right now I'm at book number 27. And all of my books are not pain. But I'm relatable because I'm a female. I've been through majority of everything females have been through. So we can communicate on everything. And if you've been married with children and now divorced with children, we can have a whole conversation over tea or wine.
Okay. Listen. I've not been married as of yet.
Okay.
And no kids as of yet. But the women who follow you, and I know like people who are close to you or in your circle or either women who are just fans of your writing, can truly relate to those things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of good to, you know, to be in the same community of someone able to like express what you can, or able to, you know, show you different ways of how to heal.
Yeah.
When they've been going through like the same things, but they may not have like the right resources. So reading is fundamental. Reading is like healing.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you like that comfort, like, wow, someone else has went through the same thing that I went through, but she's been able to tell her story. So maybe this will encourage me to get up, because she got up.
Absolutely.
You know?
Or even prevention. I work with a lot of women who's never, like you said, you're not married, never have kids, but it's certain things or certain nuggets that, because I have been through it, I'm able to say, okay, make sure you do this, or make sure before you have kids, make sure you do this, or before you say I do, make sure you do this. So it's like, it's the both sides of the coin. I can help you prevent, or I can help you get through.
Right.
And that's a community. That's definitely a community for women that we don't have, because a lot of us, we don't have that sister friend to be like, girl, what you think?
Right.
Without the judgment or the ridicule or different things, just that open, unbiased, like, you went through, so can you give me this? Or before I dabble, before I say I do, what should I have in place? And it's like, girl, make sure you got the paperwork, make sure you got the
okay.
Get it.
You're doing a prenup.
Get it. Okay? Don't be in. Don't call me like, girl, I got court. Because I'm going to be like, child, you should have called me first.
I tried to tell you, you should have read my book.
Okay. And I tell you exactly the title of that book to read to help you.
Okay.
So.
I love that, because, you know, like, we got the group chats with the mess and the drama and, you know, all this other stuff, but we need the healing group chats. We need the healing communities, especially for women. Like, and I thought that, you know, when people would come out with all of these, you know, women empowerment, you know, networks and, you know, conferences, and I'm like, okay, well, boom, we're good on Black women empowerment. You got this girl over here doing, you got this lady, this influencer, but everybody not an influencer, and everybody not on social media. So it's always
there you go.
Good, and it is always good to have some type of sister circle, to be able to talk about these things, to be raw, to be organic, to be vulnerable. Like, we are so human. We are like so human.
So human. So we go through the same thing, probably at the same time in the same hour as everybody else. So we need to better utilize our resources, not just, hey girl, you cute. It's like, hey girl, let me help you. Or hey sis, I got you. It's that little stuff like that goes a very long way. Yeah, I always tell people, I don't go to conferences no more. Don't ask me to go. I don't want to go. I done heard it all. I done heard it all. It's nothing new you can tell me. Like, let's stop there. Let's stop.
Like, I'm not about to pay $1,000 just so you can tell me your story and I don't gain nothing from it. Or even like, you know, Beyonce, that's my girl. She been put us on, like, you know, when she was at the table with Kelly, she was like, girl, I can tell you've been crying. You know, and you need somebody to talk to, like, what is going on?
Exactly. And we don't have that. Now, we're quick to sell each other our programs, our opportunities, or where you want to work with me, but you know what? You need a shoulder today. Or, hey, let me help you. You don't sound like yourself. Or you haven't posted a lot. So what's going on? That's just, we need that. We need that. And my writing, me as a writer, that's what I find passion and I dive into. Because when I first started, I didn't have that. So I literally created my career and my writing to be what I never had.
Right.
And now I have it all across the globe.
And see, we need that. So I hope that everyone that is on this live are able to, you know, immediately go to your page and go to your website and start doing their own research, because, you know, women like you, like we need a million more yous out here. You know, do you know how many Black girls that we have that need mentorship? Do you know how many Black girls that we have without mothers, or, you know, that figure to, you know, help them through these things, even not even children, like women in college, you know? So this is extremely important. And
definitely.
And speaking of children, you not only write, you know, about your personal genres and different what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, guys. You don't only write about different genres or your personal life or development with women and all these things. You've also started the adventure of Michelle book, which is a children's series.
Yes.
So how did you get started with that?
Actually, I ran out of things to talk about to the adults.
Okay.
It was like, okay, you know what? Y'all not going to listen. Let me go find me somebody else who want to soak up all this knowledge, because you see the gray hair. So I know a thing or two here.
Right.
But it was during the pandemic. So as you see, a lot of my growth happens during recession, pandemic, when everybody's in the house. That's when my creative brain moves. But it was during the pandemic. I was trying to figure out something to write, because me being a writer, I have to write. And then too, I'm a person who holds things in. So writing is really my only release.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find something to write. I done wrote in 6 other genres. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do romance, mystery, thriller, horror. I don't want to do any of that. So it was, okay, you know what? Let's go all the way back to the beginning, when you was that little girl getting in trouble and started writing. And my real name, middle name, is Michelle. It's not Monet. So the adventures of Michelle pretty much became my childhood. So her adventures are either things that I always wanted to do or things that I am very good at. So she's the inner child in me, taking kids on different adventures, whether it's writing your first book, because Michelle becomes an author. She's me. Michelle loves history, so does Sharon.
Okay.
Michelle visits the different branches of government. Sharon works for the government. It's different pieces of me, but it's also giving children the exposure that learning can be fun.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And that's my biggest thing. So, you know, Michelle does her history assembly. She goes to the White House, and as well, she goes to Congress. She goes to the beach. She goes to Paris. She becomes an entrepreneur. She even opened up her first bank account. So I'm even teaching children financial literacy. This little girl is like the best child version of an adult ever.
Yeah. Okay, little Michelle is multifaceted. Okay?
She's even better than Sharon. Okay.
And like someone said on the line, like learning can be fun. Like even
Yes.
as adults, like if you're stagnant, like your brain, I feel like cells of the brain can die off if you're not, you know, if you're not actively learning or developing a new skill. Like what are you here for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then for me, you can't call yourself a writer and you don't write. Or you can't call yourself an author and you don't have a lot of books. It's just like you can't call yourself a journalist if you're not reporting news.
You know what? I'm not going to be petty, but a lot of people think because, you know, they have like a podcast or something, you know, or they have an Instagram, that they can consider themselves a journalist, but journalism has multiple units.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you also have what we call, which a lot of journalists don't like, timelines.
Absolutely.
Deadlines to be.
And I live on all of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like deadlines, like if you go to an event, there's a write-up that needs to be out within at least 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, because that's how CNN was. Because I covered Aretha Franklin, God rest her soul. I covered her funeral. I interviewed former First Lady Michelle Obama, a lot, Tammy Roman, a lot of your celebrities. I was under the celebrity lifestyle division. After I interviewed, that article had to be up. It was okay, can you wait till Friday? No, it don't work that way. So after you got off that call or that Zoom or interview, I was writing.
Yeah.
So this way I could submit it over to the editor-in-chief or whoever wanted the article for whichever division. But yeah, no, that's why when people, and I think it's because of social media, I always blame social media for
Always.
everything. And then too, I've been in this writing industry since 1992.
Wow.
So I'm dating myself.
Okay.
So when you go back from when you didn't have internet, you didn't have social media, you was out there on the bricks, the street, hustling, out the trunk of your car, driving just to be seen.
Okay.
Now it's like we're just throwing titles around. And again, no shade, but we're throwing titles around. And it's like, oh, well, I'm an author. It's like, well, how many books do you have? Cricket.
Amazon.
And
That was
I'm like, no, call me back. Call me back. Call me back. Call me
exactly,
back.
exactly. So what is actually the process, and what kind of research does it take to begin writing a book?
A lot, actually. And even with me, my process changed based on the genre. You cannot approach a book, any book, the same way as your last, especially if you're changing genres. Like I said, I've published books in 6 different genres. So depending on the genre, one, you have to always make sure that your title or your concept is not a direct reflection of a book that's already out there. That's key. So anybody who wants to write a book, you want to make sure that your title and your concept is not already out there, because copyright infringement, if you haven't already seen all the people getting sued, copyright infringement, IP law is a real thing. Okay, so you want to make sure you're as original as possible. Once you do that research and make sure that your book, your concept, your messaging is safe, then you go into the process of, what am I going to write about you? As I call it, a bookshelf. So I start creating my table of contents. I start figuring out what I want to write, start putting everything in order. And then after that, I pretty much start writing.
Okay.
And that's mine. But for other people, the first thing, that after you figure out your concept and make sure that your concept is suit proof, as I call it, you want to figure out how you're going to publish it. If you're just going to self-publish, if you're going to publish through a publishing company, if you're going to try to pitch it to a traditional publisher. Because the one thing I always tell people is, don't go through this process of writing a book, doing the research, getting the idea, figuring out pricing, and don't know how you're going to get it distributed.
Exactly. And speaking on that, how important is it to select the right publishing company?
Very important, because your publishing company is, one, responsible to make sure that you're releasing a quality product. I will say that again. Your publishing company is the person that will help you and determine to ensure that you're publishing a quality product. Us as writers, us as authors, I always talk, I know a lot of people are I'm going to upload my book to KDP. I don't use KDP, but no shade against KDP. But you want to make sure that you have a marketable cover. You want to make sure that your book is properly typeset. You want to make sure that your book is professionally edited.
Yeah.
Okay? It's pieces of that book that a publisher or an author coach or a writing coach or whoever you want to work with to help you get to those steps. It's certain pieces that you want to make sure is industry ready and it's going to sell. Because with the market being flooded with KDP uploads and this uploads and that uploads, it hurts the market as a whole.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're putting your best quality out there, because the critics are real. One bad review can destroy your career.
Truly.
So you want to make sure that your name is on that cover. So that publisher's name is not on that cover. So if anything is wrong with that book, that falls on you.
Yeah. Right.
You as the best-selling Amazon award-winning author. That's your fault. Okay, they're blaming your name is in the bad reviews. So it's very, very, you're not working with someone who is educated, knowledgeable, and who's done it.
Right.
Can literally be a reason why your career ends before it starts.
Okay, and see that happens a lot in journalism and writing and things of that nature. And can you tell us a little bit about your relationship and your bookings with Mrs. Evelyn Braxton?
Sure. I actually got introduced virtually by my attorney, Tony Moore, shout out.
Okay.
She actually got hired to be Mrs. Braxton's attorney to help work with her on a deal. And then at that time, Miss E was telling her about this book she was working on for 10 years, and she was working with a publisher, and it was all wrong.
Oh,
it was
wow.
It was going. That's why it's important for you to make sure that you work with a right publisher, because then you'll be calling me saying, Sharon, can you help me? And that's literally what happened. That's literally she got a bad opportunity with that. Tony was like, my girl gonna help you. They sent me the manuscript, and I was like, oh no, we're not publishing this book. And I literally took her book, because I'm also the founder of Pen Legacy Publishing. So I took her book, my team got on it, book came out, and we're still rolling 2 years later.
Wow.
And then she actually, because she loves my knowledge of the book world and different things, I was able to get her in stores, tours, book signings, and she brought me on as her agent. So what went from me fixing her book has now, gave me the opportunity to be her literary agent.
Wow.
So,
you know what? God just be coming through with the blessings like,
girls, I don't pay it. And it didn't happen yesterday. So let me put that out there. Being a writer, you're not going to write a book and become an overnight success. Okay? It does. It's just like being an artist. You don't get a single and all of a sudden a millionaire. This takes time. It definitely takes time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like Sharon, I'm learning so much, because I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you.
Yes.
So before we get ready to wrap up, first of all, I want to know what tell us about writing takes a lot, because it stimulates the mind. You're releasing a lot of things. It could be stress. It could just be your creativeness. What is your self-care process?
Massages.
Ooh, love those.
Massages every 2 weeks. And especially with being a ghostwriter.
Okay.
Because with being a ghostwriter, I always tell people, being a ghostwriter is almost like being an actress. Because I'm stepping out of my body and stepping into whoever I'm writing. So then this way I'm able to really capitalize their story, their voice, their tone, their pain. And depending on, I just got finished one very triggering. Oh my, triggered me. That's how triggering this book was. I almost felt like I needed therapy all over again. And that goes to show people have true stories, true pain. And right now, women have gotten the permission to tell their story, speak their truth. And for a ghostwriter, you're speaking, so I have to go back to that night when this happened, or I have to go back, like I'm reliving their life, and I've never lived it at all. So when it comes to ghostwriting, I definitely have to get a moment of silence.
Yeah.
I have to do a shedding. And the shedding is very important, because depending on how long I'm writing that book, I can literally become them. And my kids would be like, Mommy, you're not mommy right now, so I'm going to keep it light. Because I'm literally embodying that character or that person, that trauma, that pain, where I could just sit in my room, watch TV, and cry. And my son's like, Mommy, why are you crying? And I'm like, it's not me. This is not mommy. This is not mommy. This is the character that I'm writing for. So a lot of times I have to go through a shedding process. I have to get quiet so I can release that trauma, that pain. And sometimes it takes me about a week to a month, depending on how dark the book is. But my massages help me. My quiet, my music. I love my music. So sometimes that music can turn me around a little bit quicker. But it's definitely, mentally, it's definitely a process, especially when I'm ghostwriting. When I'm just writing for myself, I'm fine, because I'm releasing. I feel a burden off. So it's like, okay, cool. I can go run. I can go do this, because I feel lighter.
Yeah.
But when I'm ghostwriting, I'm putting more weight. So that's a self-care process in itself.
Okay, and I can see that. And for a lot of people who really didn't know how intense ghostwriting is, it's literally you being that person. Just like a lot of times when it comes to actors and the aftermath after the film has been released and made millions at the box office, they talk about how they literally had to become the character, and they had to go through they had to be insane. They didn't eat, they didn't sleep. Will Smith, for example, he had to for his process, I think it was the pursuit. Is it the pursuit of happiness?
And Emancipation, when he played the slave as well. He had a very heavy recovery.
Yeah. And you become that character, and you want to make sure that this person is displayed and you're doing your best. So that is so important. And I know that I think I see some people here on our feed watching the interview. So Sharon, let everyone know who may be interested in writing a book, interested in following you, reading your novels, and all these amazing things and have children who can be inspired, and teaching their children Black excellence and all of these wonderful things coming into this world. So let us know how can they follow you, what is the website, information for your publishing company, all of these things.
Sure. So you can follow me right here on IG at I am Sharon Monet, or you can visit my website, SharonMonet.com, or if you're interested in publishing, ghostwriting, or script writing services, you can visit penlegacy.com, and that's PENLEGACY.
Brilliant. Sharon, I'm gonna have to call you, girl, because this was beautiful. Like, we need more. We need more of this Black excellence. We need more of you.
Yeah. I am definitely here, and I saw your IG, and we're also Sister Greek. So shout out to the D9, baby. Shout out to the D9. So yes, sister already.
Okay. I love that. Yes. So Sharon, we are always here to support you. I appreciate Kevin, Mr. 4.0, for putting this interview together for us.
Yes, thank you.
Followers, I hope that you were able to take some gems from this. If you're interested in writing a book, Sharon has released her information on how to do so. Follow her, you guys.
Yes, I am definitely here. Get me before I retire. Oh, get me before I retire. I'm going to say that live exclusive on this journalist platform. Get me before I'm 92. Child, I got some years in. It's time to figure out something else, but I'm still here for now, so definitely reach out. I'm definitely here to make sure that your book is published or written with quality, so you can win in this space.
Yeah, so we can create more best-selling authors, in our Black community. So shout out to
with sales. I'm gonna be petty for a minute. With sales. Okay, with sales.
With sales, not 50 copies. With sales. So thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we support you. So happy, so proud of you for being a representation of Black excellence. And with that, you guys, I am your girl, Trish B. This is the Sharon Monet, and you guys, it's a wrap. So you guys can follow the recap. Sharon, I'll make sure that you have it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye-bye, guys.